Imagine standing inside a centuries-old chapel in complete darkness.
A location that's seen generations come and go.
A member of your team photographs a tall black figure standing near the altar.
Minutes later, a spirit box repeatedly calls out the same name.
Call.
What the?
This is a ghost story.
Hello, and welcome back to This is a Ghost Story. I'm Catherine.
I'm Alison.
And I'm producer Andrew.
Thank you for joining us once again. Last week, we heard Kayla's terrifying story involving the wardrobe and the mirror that was on it.
And we received some fantastic feedback about that episode. It was such a scary and interesting story.
Absolutely. Now, tonight's story is similar in some respects. However, it's not taking place in the person's safe space, unlike Kayla's. This time, we're hearing from someone who actively seeks out the paranormal.
Our witness is Leighton Dalrymple, an experienced paranormal investigator and founder of Crime and Paranormal on YouTube.
Leighton and his team have investigated countless reportedly haunted locations over the years.
Which is what makes this account so interesting. When someone who spent years investigating claims says, I can't explain what happened, it definitely gets your attention.
The story takes us to a historic chapel in Lancashire, and according to Leighton, what happened there remains one of the most terrifying experiences his team has ever encountered. Brace yourselves.
This is a ghost story.
The story begins in the village of Rivington near Bolton in Lancashire. Nestled among the rolling hills and historic buildings sits a centuries-old chapel, a place steeped in history, a place that, according to some visitors, may also be home to something else.
Leighton and his team had arranged an investigation at the chapel and the tea rooms for their YouTube channel, Crime and Paranormal. Also present that evening were members of another paranormal group and the owners of the building. The team set up cameras, prepared their equipment, and began their investigation.
At first, nothing seemed particularly unusual. There were a few responses through various pieces of equipment, the sort of things paranormal investigators experience regularly. Interesting, but not extraordinary.
In fact, Leighton later described the investigation as feeling flat. Nothing was happening that suggested the evening would become memorable.
As the night continued, one of the team members, Joanne, decided to take a photograph. Not because she'd seen anything, not because she'd heard anything, simply a routine photograph towards the altar area.
When she reviewed the image, everyone stopped. Standing near the altar appeared to be a tall black figure, a dark silhouette, human in shape, seemingly watching.
The photograph immediately changed the atmosphere. Whether it was a trick of the light or something more mysterious, nobody could say for certain. But everyone suddenly became a lot more interested in what might be inside the chapel with them.
The investigation continued, and before long another strange detail emerged, this time through a spirit box session.
For listeners unfamiliar with spirit boxes, these devices rapidly scan radio frequencies, creating fragments of speech that some investigators believe spirits can manipulate to communicate.
Repeatedly the same word came through. Paul.
Then again, Paul.
And again, Paul.
One of the investigators present that night was called Paul.
The team joked that perhaps whatever was trying to communicate wanted Paul's attention, so they called him over.
At that moment, Paul was standing near the altar beneath one of the hanging light fittings. A large decorative lampshade suspended from the chapel ceiling.
Paul moved away from his position and joined the others. Only a few seconds passed, then everything changed.
Without warning, a tremendous crash exploded through the chapel.
The entire team jumped. Remember, much of the investigation was taking place in darkness using night vision cameras. Initially, nobody could see what had happened, only hear it.
For a moment, there was confusion. Then torches were switched on.
The light fitting directly above where Paul had been standing had shattered. Glass littered the floor and sharp fragments scattered in every direction.
But it wasn't simply broken. The remaining fixture was still swinging violently, back and forth, back and forth.
According to Leighton, it looked almost as though something had struck it with force, like it had been punched.
The team stood in silence, trying to process what had just happened.
Had the fitting simply failed? Was it old age, a structural issue, or was there something more to the timing?
After all, only moments earlier, a spirit box had repeatedly called out Paul's name.
And only moments later, the object directly above Paul's head came crashing down.
Had he remained standing there, the outcome could have been very different.
The broken pieces had formed razor-sharp edges. A direct impact could have easily caused serious injury.
For Leighton and his team, the sequence of events was impossible to ignore. A black figure near the altar. Repeated references to Paul. Then a violent physical incident occurring exactly where Paul had been standing.
It remains one of the most compelling and unexplained experiences they've ever encountered while investigating.
This is a ghost story.
That's one of those stories where each individual piece could potentially be explained.
But when you place them all together, it becomes much harder.
Yeah, if it was just the photograph, you'd perhaps say it was a shadow. If it was just the spirit box, you could argue coincidence. Leighton has shared that photograph and it is currently up on our social, so do have a look at that.
You know, and if it was just the light fitting breaking, you know, you could blame age or deterioration.
But the timing of all three events occurring within such a short period is what makes this story really stand out.
Especially when the name Paul appears repeatedly beforehand.
You know, whether paranormal or not, it's a really incredible coincidence.
And experienced investigators tend to be among the first people trying to debunk what they've witnessed. And that's what makes Leighton's story particularly interesting. Ladies, what would you have done in this situation? Catherine, what would you have done if this happened to you?
Number 1, messed my pants. Run out.
So done a number 1. Okay.
No, I mean, you know, I'm pretty jumpy anyway. So anything, you know, breaking, like suddenly unexpected, I would have, well, number 1, probably screamed, then messed my pants and then run.
Would that have been the same for you, Alison? Or would you have stood up?
Yeah, because I'm not a wimp at all. I would have left. I'd have been like, right, guys,
Let's
see you
step
later.
outside.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's run outside.
I'll see you in the daylight.
Yeah, because ghosts don't come out in the daylight. That's the...
So I think
No, they don't.
that's a hard and fast rule there. You know, when you're exploring the paranormal, take a change of underwear.
And nothing that can repeat your name either, because that would really have
don't.
scared me.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Now, let's take a closer look at the location itself. So, the chapel described by Leighton is Rivington Chapel near Bolton in Lancashire. The current building dates back to the early 1700s and sits in a historic area surrounded by woodlands, moorland and centuries of local history. So, like many old religious buildings, stories have emerged over the years about unusual experiences. So, visitors have reported strange feelings, unexplained noises and a sense of being watched. Of course, many historic buildings generate similar stories, especially when they're old, isolated, and of course visited at night. From a sceptical perspective, there are several possible explanations. You know, the lampshade could have failed due to age, metal fatigue, loose fittings. Obviously, there is glass there. Maybe there was, maybe it was slightly shattered already and maybe just a noise made it worse. It could be any number of structural issues, temperature changes, and photographs taken in low light can sometimes produce unexpected effects. But even if we accept those explanations, we're still left with the unusual sequence of events. And that's often what makes paranormal cases so fascinating. Not one single event, but a series of events that seem connected. Was it simply coincidence? Or was there genuinely something trying to get Paul's attention? That's something we'll leave for you to decide. Get in touch, guys. What do you think at home? Is this some paranormal experience? All our socials are at the end and our email address as well.
You can check out the video of this investigation on Crime and Paranormal's YouTube channel. The video is called Rivington Tea Rooms and Chapel, The Unholy Spirit.
So, how are we feeling about this? Is this something genuinely paranormal?
I vote yes. Obviously, we've watched the video, and I think, to hear somebody's name repeated, that's somebody definitely trying to get a message across. And it almost seems like it had it in for Paul, why they singled him out, bless him, I don't know. You never want to be that paranormal ghost hunting team that, you're the one who's singled out. What do you think, Alison?
Yeah, I mean, to me it seems genuine.
Can it all be coincidence, though? Can you get situations you think where, it could be coincidence? I guess the thing is, it's Paul, isn't it? It's that being repeated three. If you heard it once, maybe that could be a coincidence where it could have just sounded like it. But hearing it three times.
Yeah.
Definitely trying to get Paul's attention.
Yeah, especially with the blooming light fitting.
Oh, no.
Well, that's the thing. Light fittings, would that have just shattered, do you think? Is that a possibility?
Well, do you know, and I'm going to add this in because it takes me back to a time, probably about a decade ago, when we were in one of our local pubs. And do you remember, me and Alison had gone off to the loo, and you with your friend
have to go together. I've
yes.
never understood that.
Yes,
before,
indeed.
But there we go.
We've got each other's backs. You never know what's going to happen between, getting a drink and going to the loo. Anyway, so we'd gone off, and you were with your friend at the time, and you had a glass explode right in front of you. We missed that.
Yeah, it was an interesting one because there was some music in the pub, I have to say, but it was round the other side. Now, it's kind of like an old-style pub. You got two separate areas with the bar separating both, and the only way to really get into the other area is to go outside in the other door. The music wasn't terribly loud, though, and it was just a glass that was on a table that was near us. And as we were all just chatting about some utter rubbish, it was definitely some utter rubbish, the glass just it didn't just break and fall into the table, it just exploded. It just went poof, looked, and then the bartender looked over, and he just looked. He went, "Oh," I says, does that happen often?" He just went, "Yeah." The funny thing was, when we were chatting, the two guys I was chatting with looked at it and then just went back into the conversation after like a second of silence.
Like that's the norm, yeah.
Like it was the norm, and I'm like, whoa. There's a glass just exploded there, and then of course, I can't wait to tell you guys.
We missed all the action,
Yeah.
Probably a good thing,
Typical.
Hadn't packed any, spare clothes that day. So, yeah.
This is a ghost story.
Thanks to Leighton and the Crime and Paranormal team for sharing their experience.
Yeah, that was definitely a good story, guys. Get your stories in. That was absolutely fantastic. And it really does show that there's definitely something out there.
Next time on This is a Ghost Story. One winter evening in rural Portugal, a 13-year-old boy spotted a brilliant light hovering silently above olive trees.
What began as a simple sighting would become a mystery spanning more than 40 years, involving missing time, strange encounters, unexplained lights, and a lifelong search for answers.
Join us next time for episode 11, The Portuguese UFO Story.
Thank you for listening to another episode of This is a Ghost Story.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We are absolutely everywhere now. We are now on YouTube. So just search This Is a Ghost Story, all one word, to find us on there.
So we are on Twitter, or X, at A Ghost Story Pod.
We're on Facebook, This is a Ghost Story.
And Instagram, This Is a Ghost Story, all one word.
Or you can find us on TikTok at this.is.a.ghost.story.
Please leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And remember, if you have a paranormal experience that you would like us to read on the show,
please email us at thisisaghoststory@icloud.com.
we'll see you next time.
Sweet dreams.